testing the cameras. All right, there we go. I think we're live. All right, happy Sunday, everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying the Super Bowl. I see that everybody's preoccupied with that kind of stuff, so it might be a quiet night. So this is a good night for me to do this stuff. So we're gonna have some fun tonight. I'm just feeling like energetic and like hyper and happy. So maybe because I got up a little bit earlier today and I actually went to church. Fortunately, I was reminded why I don't actually go to church. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome on TikTok. Please tap the screen, share the live. This helps you boost the algorithm, lets people know that I'm on live, and gives them something other than the Super Bowl to watch. Because tonight I'm going to teach some really great stuff. Okay? So I have the song. Have you guys heard the song Let's Get Physical? I have it with the words twisted of Let's Get Spiritual. So let's get spiritual tonight because, and I can't help but tie all of this stuff together with spirituality, change management, business, and how it can all tie together without getting too weird or crunchy granola or something like that. So we're going to attempt to dive into this, and you guys can enjoy the show and let me know what you think. Do you guys actually go to church? Do you partake? Are you Christian? Are you Catholic? Are you Buddhist? What kind of faith do you practice, or do you practice none? Because I know I came from the line of thinking of I would argue every point of spirituality. And if you try to quote anything in the Bible for me, I would find something that would counteract it, and I would argue it back. Till I realized that kind of thought process, that belief system, didn't actually serve me. And I did actually, when I was going through my hardest times, it's then that I'm so grateful that I actually had something more powerful than me to rely on, because if not, I probably would have been successful with that attempt of suicide when I was 17. So I am very, very grateful. And even as a child, with all of the sexual abuse that I went through, I would pray. And I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know if I was doing it right. I didn't have the structure. I had the benefit of I wasn't forced into any particular religion as I was growing up. My mom allowed me to make my own choice of whatever would suit me. So consequently, I would run around and I'd go to all my friends' churches and I would hang out there. And so my friend at the time, she invited me to go to the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church was like so amazing. They had the biggest, best looking churches, and like, they're just so beautiful. And but I also was a little bit afraid of them because those Catholic kids, if you didn't fit in, if you didn't quite fit the criteria and you happened to be, there were two ways home from my school. And I could either cut through the Catholic schoolyard, or I can go through the mental health forested area. So it's like, most of the time I went through the mental health forest area, because those Catholic kids, man, they'd beat the shit out of you when you didn't look like them, when you didn't act like them, you didn't know the same things. So Catholic kids were kind of scary to me growing up. That being said, I always liked to hang out with them anyway, because they were tough. So anyway, my friend, she invited me to come to church on a Sunday morning, and she invited me to go up for the sacrament and to take the bread. And well, the priest had put the bread in my mouth and it hit my gag reflex. And I ended up running to the bathroom, and I threw up in the church's bathroom because and the whole time I was thinking, it's because God knows I'm not a Catholic. So I thought, oh, he knew, right? He knew that I was doing something that I shouldn't, because I hadn't gone through all the I know they're very structured in the rites of passage and stuff that you have to do, communion and all of this stuff, right? I don't know all of the things, but I'm aware of them. But yes, it's like, so that kind of thing happens. So that was my funny story. I loved going to the Baptist churches because they had the best choirs. I loved listening to the pastors talk about racism and just really meaningful, powerful stories, and then how he would take the Bible and then they would relate it to current events, right? And I really enjoyed those kind of stories, but I ended up having to leave them because they always wanted, kids were only allowed up in where the adults were with the choir, the first Sunday of the month. The rest of the time they're supposed to be downstairs. Well, what they didn't know was that I didn't have any parents with me. I was going there voluntarily on my own. I always went to church by myself. And so when they tried to enforce rules on me, it didn't really go well. And so then I didn't go back. So sadly, this is where you kind of have to balance structure with, are you actually getting the message out? Are you actually helping people? And not letting your structure, your processes, your systems get in the way of serving the people that your business, your church, your whatever is there to actually serve. At the end of the day, it's the people that matter. It's the souls that show up in front of you that are looking for help that actually matter the most. So, and today I was reminded, if anything is in dire need of change management, it would be churches and spirituality, because the message is not getting out there. It's not getting out there in a way that people can actually relate to. Anybody, most of the time, I'm a believer and I can't handle the way they describe it. It's like, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to get rid of people so that they don't become involved, that they don't have this personal connection where they feel the love of God within them? You honestly are trying to deter people from this. It's like, what are you doing? And they don't understand that they're just so stuck in their routine, their traditions, their ways, that they're losing the message. They are losing the ability to help people get to know God. And so for me, that was like loud and clear today. And I don't know if it's my change management, my business side, or whatever. So I come in and I sit down and I'm like looking around and I'm like noticing all these things. But before I get into that, just for those of you that are new, change management it deals with the people side of change. So whether you're implementing a system in business, if you're trying to change a culture or a thought process or anything like that, of how your business is operating, if you have staffing or restructuring within the business, like either you're adding a new division or you're moving people around and stuff like that, layoffs, any of those kind of things, you want to have somebody in change management available to help your business go through the transition, because there's nothing worse than you doing all of that work, spending all of that money, putting in a system, trying to get your message out for somebody, but if you don't understand the people side of change and how people actually adapt to change, then you're not going to get the ROI, the return on investment. People aren't going to get the message. They aren't going to be able to understand what it is that's going on. And you lose customers, you lose business, you lose the ability to, even if you're a nonprofit, you lose the ability to bring people into your organization where they want to be a part of it. And even if that's just a support community that you're doing where there's no money involved, if you don't understand how to properly communicate to people and how to structure things in a way that makes them comfortable, makes them more receptive, more open to receiving this change. Because the first thing our brain does is we find change very threatening, especially if we aren't the ones that initiated it. It's terrifying, and it's like, no, change back. Even if that's the exact change we wanted, that the exact change we were hoping for, and we know it's good for us, we know it's the best way, there's this thing that in us that's going to pull us back and change us back, because it's scary. It's scary to change, even if it's something we wanted. So not having people adapt to a change, and if you think of a business, if they don't, hello BK, welcome, if they don't adapt to the change, then you don't get an ROI. Sorry BK, no, you can't join the live. You're welcome to sit in and listen, tap the screen, share the live, let me know that if you have any questions, go ahead and do that. This is particular training, and so I'll be going through and teaching this stuff. Okay, so if they don't adapt to the change, if they don't start using the system in the way that you're hoping for, because no business goes and implements a system without expecting some sort of return on investment. They're expecting to be able to either save money or generate more money or be able to have better analytics. All of those kind of things come out of change management. And most of the time they focus on the technical stuff with the system process and the structures and all of that kind of stuff. But if you don't take care of the emotions of the people that are going to be using the system, that is going to sink you. Okay? And if they don't adopt the system, there's no growth in the business. And if there's no growth in a business, you're basically coasting. You're going downhill, and no growth equals death. Okay? So in a business, or even in a community, even nonprofit community. If your communities, and they're there to support people that are in challenging times, right? If you haven't adapted, you haven't updated your systems, your structures, you're still operating on something that is outdated. You need to refresh it so that you're communicating in a style that actually gets the message across. Think of Jesus. It's like he didn't just pray in the synagogues. He was outside. He wasn't in the churches. He wasn't in the synagogues. Everybody was Jewish there, right? So he didn't follow the regular system. He was outside of the system. He was outcast from the system. and he probably got a whole lot of flack for that. He hung out with lepers and prostitutes and all kinds of, not good character kind of people, right? That's what he did. So it reminds me of this time I went up on a vacation up in Midland, Ontario. And there was this like castle kind of place. And they had like a storybook gardens, and they had, sorry, I didn't see your question, BK. Let me scroll up here. The last question I see from you, BK, is can you join? And I did answer that question. No, you cannot. I'm teaching something. You're welcome to sit in, listen. Okay? So in this, no, sorry, my heart's already stolen. Thank you. So Disney animatronics, it reminds me of that, because in this Midland storybook gardens, and they had like a castle, and there was an older gentleman, and they were actually doing a sale, and they were selling the property to new owners. So they were getting rid of all the gifts in the gift shop and all of the like different things. And downstairs he had like this whole little armory, and it's like, he had like knight's armor on mannequins, and he had all this collection of swords in different styles. And the poor guy, he was older and he had Parkinson's, so he was shaken and everything, but you could really feel the love of what he dedicated his life to. He had something that he had built in this place, and it was a beautiful place, but it also had a sad, nostalgic kind of feel to it. Because it was run down. You could see like it had gone past its glory days kind of thing. But we went downstairs, and he told us all about the swords, and it was really beautiful to watch his face light up, and as he's telling that story of all the stuff, of the different swords, the reasons for the armor and everything, he just really had a passion for it. And I really love that. And then they also had this whole like little maze that they went through in the basement, and it had like these scary animatronic kind of things. Well, the sad part of it is some of them didn't work, which actually made them way creepier than whatever they were trying to be in the beginning. Um, but I don't know if it's my empathic nature or whatever it is, but I could really pick up the energy from the area, and I just felt so sad. Even though I could see the joy in this guy's face that somebody was actually just listening to him and telling his story and everything, and it was kind of like his last chance, his last hurrah kind of thing. So that kind of reminds me of the churches. Like I had that same feeling when I was in the church this morning, and I can see it was a fairly full church, a smaller church, but there were a fair number of people there. But it just had this vibe of dying. It's not growing. There's no vibrancy. The Holy Spirit was not in that church. And that the connection, and it was just kind of people just kind of going through the motions like robots, and not this full expression of love and connection to God. And so when I'm looking around, I can't help but look at it from a change management perspective of some little tweaks that can help, because at the end of the day, their product is good. Their product is good. It saves lives, it saves souls, it saves people, and it brings joy and happiness if it's done right. But if it's not packaged correctly, if it's not marketed correctly, if you don't know how to sell it, it's not going to go anywhere. Nobody's going to be able to buy this. And that would be a crying shame, because it's a really good product and it will save lives. So yeah, I can't help but think that a lot of churches really need this overhaul, because they're missing out on people that just can't relate. And I'm thinking, geez, I'm older and I find this shit outdated. I'm like, is this from the Titanic era? Like, come on, guys, bring this up to speed. Like, no electronics in the place, no ability to, like, the songs, they can't, you can't sing along, and people are like, they don't know what they're saying. It's like um, no logistics set up. It's like you had nobody greeting newcomers, right? You didn't. So I'm brand new to the church. I don't know what's going on. If I was somebody who didn't have any faith, I might. And you think, okay, you know what? I'm at my last straw, and my life's going to hell, and I need some help. Maybe I should try church. Maybe I should, you know what, I'll give that a try. And you show up and you get this. Come on, do better, please. If you run a church, if you're on here, or if you're part of a church, encourage them to do better, update things, bring it into times where somebody brand new off the street that's never dealt with any of this stuff would be at least curious enough to come back next Sunday, right? You have to look at things like logistics, the layout of things, right? They had the logistics pretty good for the sacrament and going up for the bread. I did notice that there was no wine, though. They don't do that part anymore, I guess, for efficiency's sake. But customer onboarding, fulfillment, they didn't have any fellowship afterwards. It's like people got up and they just all left in their cars. I don't know if they went somewhere afterwards, but there was no announcements like that. They handed out some flyers that I couldn't help but notice the entire back page was all business advertisements. And I thought, wow, how would Jesus actually react to that kind of thing? That's almost like on par with the money lenders being in the synagogue. And it's the one time that Jesus lost his shit and flipped over tables, started beating everybody because there were money lenders in the synagogue, right? Yeah. a lack of posts hanging out. Like, I, I'm not Catholic, so I don't know all the rituals. Like, I kind of tried to play along as I was going, but I don't know any of the music. I know there were books there, but there was only one time that somebody handed me a book and said it's on this page, right? And I was like, oh, okay. But there's no screens, there's nothing to follow around with. So my business, change management, logistics kind of mindset couldn't help but kind of look at, hey, there's little tweaks that you guys could make that would make this so much better, would make it more interactive that people want to come back, right? Because, and with all the structures and the traditions and the routines that they kind of go through, I could see somebody tuning out before he actually got to the message, and the message was actually really good. So I'm glad that I was able to stay present long enough to pick up the message, and I actually want to share it with you today. So, because I think this relates quite a bit in entrepreneurship. So, hang on just a second here, I'm going to have some water. And I'm not going to quote Bible stuff. I don't know the page numbers. I don't know the verse. I have no idea where it is. But I'm going to tell you the story so that you can at least grab the lesson from it. And that's the great thing about the stories from the Bible is, like, they're stories, right? And that alone, any entrepreneur knows how powerful stories are, because people can remember a story. They're not going to remember the order, or you have, at one point they're listing all of these names in like this order, and I'm like, who cares? Who are these people? I don't know them. You know, and I'm like, I'm open. Imagine somebody who's trying this for the very first time, and then they just get lost in all of this garbly-goop, right? Yeah, and I just thought it was unfortunate. So, the story was talking about how, and I don't remember the name of the city, not friggin' important, okay? But lepers. So lepers were people that had an illness, that they have nerve damage, they can't tell that there's an infection and stuff like that, and then because of that, their skin falls off, and they thought it was contagious. So basically, lepers were forced to camp outside of the city, which banished them. You got to think, it's like they had no social media, they couldn't stay in contact with people, they, you know, couldn't connect with people. So think of COVID time, right? In 2020, where we couldn't connect with our loved ones. So imagine being banished outside of the camp, and it's a life sentence. It's not a, hey, we can get back to normal here. And so the story was that a leper had come to Jesus asking for healing, but he wasn't sure if Jesus would actually want to heal him. And that kind of hit home for me, because how many times have we done things in our lives that we've screwed up in such a way that we feel like we don't actually get forgiveness? That we can't actually get the healing that we need because we feel like we've done things so wrong. And so he had asked Jesus, like, if you're willing, I would like healing. And Jesus had said to him, I choose to heal you, right? So imagine that feeling flowing into your heart of knowing that God, the Son of God, actually chooses to heal you. I choose you. Imagine that. How would you feel knowing that even though you haven't earned that, even though you haven't done the right things, even though everybody else in the world has cast you out, he still chooses healing. He still chooses to pour his love into you. And, you know, the saying of God so loved the world, he gave his only son. And when we think of that piece, it's like, wow, I can't imagine that, to give up my child even if it was going to save all of humanity, I'm sorry, I would not be that benevolent. I don't think I'd give up one of my cats. Maybe ones that are pissing me off, but that's usually a rash reaction, right? But, you know, think of things. How many times do we attach ourselves to possessions, to things of this world that we're not willing to give up? We're not willing to give up our phone. We're not willing to give up our internet. We're not willing to give up our vehicles or our viewpoints or consider somebody else. And we hang on so tightly to these things. Yet, here God gave his only son so that we could be healed. So Jesus went and healed this leper. And then he told him, he says, don't tell anybody. And well, how could you not? Like, I don't blame the poor leper, right? It's like, how could you not tell somebody that you just received a miracle? Like, that you have been healed, that you can come back in. So, of course, he told everybody. And, of course, what ends up happening is the reason Jesus told them not to tell is because that kind of put him on high alert to the authorities, the structures and the systems of the day. Hi, Esker. Good to see you. Welcome back. I'm doing well. How are you doing? So it alerted the synagogue and the authorities of the time that, you know, Jesus was doing this miraculous healing stuff. Of course, that's a huge change. That's not according to our program, our structures, our way of doing things. So that's terrifying. That's scary. That's change. That's different. Jesus, you're now banned. You get the heck out. You have to go up on the mountain. Well, isn't that also part of the plan, right? Because now, instead of people, or Jesus going to the people have to come to Jesus. They have to seek him out. They have to ask for his guidance and help. He can't go to them. And that is how it is. We have this free will. We can choose not to seek God. We can choose not to seek this spiritual connection and this love that is available to all of us. And it can be really hard to see that in our dark times. Peter, thank you so much for the roses. I just saw that. Thank you. Welcome back, by the way. So we have this choice. And when we think of it, it's like, okay, in business, we can choose to follow the old structures, and anything new that we banish it and get it out. And the thing is what's going to end up happening is people stop going there, and then they'll start seeking the love, the support, the customer service, the connection that they are craving, that they don't even realize how much they're craving that until it's presented to them. And when one person receives it, it's like no different. The best advertising that you can get is a satisfied customer. Do you think that leper was satisfied with the service he received from Jesus? And he couldn't keep his friggin' mouth shut about it. He had to tell everybody, even though Jesus said, don't tell anybody, okay? Because it's like, it's just going to bring too many people and it'll give me too much attention. I'm not ready for that attention. And he got his butt kicked out of the city, right? So, but that's all part and parcel of what needed to happen, how it all unfolded the way it was supposed to. Yeah. And so when I think of those kind of things and tying that to kind of business, it's like, okay, the minute you do something different, guess what? You get ostracized. You get kicked out of the group. That's not cool. That's too weird. That's too out there. Hello. Hi. My name's Tina. I get kicked out of the group. I'm too weird. I'm too out there. That's okay. I'm friggin' happy. So that's a good thing. And I want to share this stuff because it's important, because I started my coaching program back in 2021, and I wanted to help sales reps heal past trauma. I've expanded it now that I want to help all people become happy. But as I was going through some of that process, first of all, I triggered myself and realized I needed to do a little bit more healing work, a whole lot actually, but that's okay. I've done that stuff. But it also caused me to dust off the tools that I hadn't been using for quite a while, and it caused me to remember what I had been through because it had been so long, and I had been in such a almost numb place. It's like, I wasn't growing, therefore I was dying. So I wasn't growing, I wasn't using these tools, I wasn't actively seeking God, I was just existing and coasting through life. And when you coast through life, you're going downhill, and it's a slippery slope, and next thing you know, you're in the depths of despair, and that's not cool. It's not good. It's not fun. So as I was trying to coach and guide other people, one of the secret things, I was like, oh, this isn't all about here's your structure, just follow these 3 steps and everything's going to be great. No. I realized that the thing that was most important was my connection with God. That saved me more times than any structure or any process. And you don't have to do it right. There is no right way to pray. I talk to God like he's my best friend. I cuss at him. I tell him all kinds of stuff. He laughs at me. He thinks I'm cool. It's all right. So it's a good thing. And sometimes I remember my mom actually telling me this too, is that sometimes you cry, right? And you just can't get the words out. You don't know how to explain what it is that you're actually going through. And what I want you to take away from that is that tears are liquid prayers. That when the emotions are so overwhelming that you cannot get the words out, you can't articulate what it is that you feel, just know that those tears, God hears every one of them, and he knows how to help you. He will send the right people to you. So the difference between meditation and prayer, that's a great question, Mark. So how I like to simplify this is meditation is listening to God, and prayer is talking to God. So oftentimes I do a lot of meditation. And meditation isn't just sitting cross-legged in a chair and going, oh, no. I can meditate while I'm vacuuming. I can meditate while I'm doing dishes. It's where you focus and you listen. Like you focus your intention of something that you're thinking of, or not even having any thought. So sometimes I just won't have any thought, and then allow whatever is, there will be a random idea that'll pop into your head, and you're like, oh, thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate you. Welcome back. I'm so glad to see you again. So meditation is, yes, I remember you. I'm so glad that you came back. So meditation is listening. I sometimes will set an intention before meditation of what it is that I'm hoping to get out of something that I'm doing intentionally of, you know what, hey God, I don't know how to handle this particular problem. Or, you know what, I can see my friend is really hurting, and I want to help them in some way. And then all of a sudden you will, if you sit quietly, or listen to music, or, like I said, a lot of times because I can't sit still, I tend to do my meditation while I'm doing mundane activities, folding laundry, vacuuming, doing dishes, that kind of stuff. So that allows me to just listen and stay calm, present. Sometimes something will come. Sometimes it doesn't come during the meditation. But then all of a sudden something will pop up on social media, or sometimes, somebody will say something random, or I'll watch a movie and there'll be like one little thing, and it's kind of like you get this, imagine a string, and then somebody just flicks the string, and then you just like have this like little vibration kind of thing, and it's like you get this pull, this sense in you of, I should pay attention to that. But it's sometimes it's like you've got this piece of a puzzle, and you're like, well, I don't even know what to do with this. I don't even know if this fits in the puzzle, or like the colors on this don't even match what I'm working on. What the hell am I supposed to do with this? And so sometimes it's like, okay, just know that you've gotten a piece of that puzzle, and you just kind of set it aside, knowing that you've got like the stack of puzzle pieces, and then all of a sudden something will happen where it just all comes together. But it's also a matter of seek and ye shall find kind of thing. So if you start focusing on these things, you start setting that intention to listen for God, to ask for signs. Because trust me, I didn't believe this stuff. I fought it. I fought it, because it like, this did not compute logically. I was so much more science-based, which is so funny because people that are high level in sciences, they all end up gravitating towards spirituality. So it's really funny that, even a high level physicist or mathematician or anything like that, they end up kind of going, hey, wait a minute, there might be something more here, right? Oh, you're missing the Super Bowl. Well, I'm so glad that you decided to join me here. I'm flattered. Wow. So I hope you're enjoying it. And if you have any questions, please type those in the chat and I'll try to answer them. But we are wrapping up soon. I'm going to try and keep these videos a little bit shorter. Because I'm told that maybe long videos on YouTube, which if you did come in partway from this video, the replays will be uploaded onto YouTube. I also put my artwork as part of the thumbnails and a link to where you can purchase that artwork in various formats. It can be a fridge magnet, it can be a skirt, it can be a phone case, whatever you're looking for. So, yeah, so in going through this, it's with the change management, it's like, okay, there's different ways that we can start to get the message, right? And taking what we like and leave the rest, right? So, because I wouldn't have survived what I've been through in my life if I hadn't had a connection with God, and one that is a God of my understanding, a God that is like my best friend that I can reach out to. So no matter what, I am never ever alone, and that has kept me still safe, even when the dark thoughts come and I feel like I can't make it through another day and that I should just give up and check out. And those times, they come back. Hey Alfred, good to see you. I am doing well. Thank you so much. How are you doing tonight? I'm so surprised that you came on. Even with the Super Bowl, everybody's here. So that's great. So having that personal connection is one that is worth fostering, and you don't even need to do it in a specific way, right? So when I started with this stuff, I tend to be a little bit more contrary. I didn't believe, and a friend of mine had told me, it's like, okay, take that to him. Say, you know what? I don't even believe that you're real. I don't even believe any of this woo-woo stuff, and I prefer to just deal with science. So if there is a God, prove it. Show me signs. Tell him that you don't believe, that you don't trust, that you don't want to pray, right? That you don't want to ask for guidance from. Tell him. See what happens. Come back and tell me if something changed for you. Because I know it did for me. I was like, damn. But I wasn't still convinced. I wasn't fully convinced at that. I still fought it. I was a little bit more open. So this was a gradual process. It wasn't like, a snap overnight and I'm like, oh, no angel song, none of that kind of stuff. It was a long, hard battle. And most of the time I tend to forget until things get a little too ouchy. And then I'm like, oh, yeah. Hey God, hi, remember me? Yeah, we seem to be having some issues down here and I could use a little help, and I don't pray out loud. I don't pray for, attention. I don't, do any weird stuff. Like, I'm very, you don't even have to do anything. You can just sit with your own mind and be open and visualize in your own mind a connection with God. And, but I didn't start there. I so didn't. And it wasn't till I had lost my cat and he had been gone for about 7 days, and I could see where he had landed, that there was blood where he had landed, and I was devastated. And I had stayed up so late and kept going to work, and I'd spend every free minute looking for this cat and couldn't find him. And by the last day, I was driving to work. I was so tired, and I was sitting at the stop sign waiting for traffic to go by, and I just threw up my hands and I went, you know what? If there is a fucking God, bring back my fucking cat. And then I just let it go. I went to work, did my thing, came home, and I was so tired. I just, ended up going to bed early. My mom came home that night, and she went to go walk the dog, but she didn't know if I had walked him already. So she went to go out, and the normal path that she took, the light flickered and went off. And she was like, oh shit, it's actually too dark. I'm not going down that road tonight, so I'll go this other way. So as she's circling the apartment building, she comes back around and she's heading back into the apartment, and there's a set of bushes there, and she thought she heard a cat, and she's like, Sam, is that you? And he's like, Rawr! And the dog's there and the cat's there, and she reached in, she scratched up all her arms and everything, and she grabbed them like a sack of potatoes and brought them in, and she ran up all the stairs in the apartment, and she opened my bedroom door, and she's like, Tina, we got Sam! And I woke up and I just started crying. I was like so happy that I got him back. And it was just a matter of, it's like, oh, okay, right, I said that prayer this morning. I was a bit lippy, but I didn't get struck down. I'm still here, still alive. So, pray however you need to pray. You don't have to do, no, just talk to him. Say, you know what, this crazy chick on the internet, she was talking about God, and I don't friggin' actually believe there is a God. So, you know what, prove it to me in a way I will understand, that I will recognize. Because I might look for signs and I'd be like, oh damn, that's a sign. And you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? That means nothing, right? You're just making stuff up. Tell you, do it in ways that make sense for you. There's something more here. And when we think of being able to heal, it is a big component of the healing process. I would not have healed as well, and given what I've been through, 10 out of 10 on the ACEs test, given what I've been through, I should be absolutely, well, see, some people are going to say, yeah, but you are batshit crazy, Tina. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm batshit crazy in a good way, fun way, best way. I'm not harmful to people. Doesn't mean I don't screw up and hurt people's feelings and stuff like that, but never, ever intentionally. And for the most part, I'm actually very, very happy with who I am. And when I am that connected, even in the dark times, I'm able to flip those around fairly quickly. And I can do it because I've anchored these tools in so much, that I can do this completely alone. So that's kind of cool. Although there's still, I know people that care for me and stuff like that. I don't have to do it alone, but I know at the end of the day, you can have everybody on your side, supporting you, cheering you on and everything, but if you have that darkness inside of you and you are believing that darkness and what it's telling you, you're going to think the whole world is lying, even if they're saying you're the best, you're amazing, all that kind of stuff. And the reverse is true too. Everybody in the world can say you're complete shit and you're a terrible person and you're all these things, but if in your own heart you know that you're good, you will feel such peace, such happiness. So, yeah. So that's my spiritual rant. Hi, John. Hi, how are you doing? John, very nice that you could join me. No, you can't go out with me. Sorry, thank you for the offer, though. I appreciate that. Keep coming back, though, and listen to the content, but I'm not on here to date. Okay? So, guys, with that, we are going to wrap it up. Check out my YouTube channel, Coach Tina B125. You can check that out there. The replays are posted there. You'll hear more of my story. Yeah, and come back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll go over any questions or topics that you guys want to talk about. Dating, I can give you tips, and I can promise you, you will not be getting the best ROI trying to hit me up. That's not going to work, okay? So, guys, with that, I hope you have an amazing night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. I have no idea who's playing in the Super Bowl. I have no idea if it's even still on or over. I usually will go back and watch the Super Bowl commercials. Those are fun. So anyway, guys, I hope you have an amazing night. Thank you so much for coming back. Peter, thank you so much for the roses. I appreciate you so much, and I really hope you guys found this beneficial. All right? Have a great night. Take care. Bye.